Quentin Tarantino. By far one of, if not the greatest directors of modern cinema. With his unique and non-linear style of storytelling, Tarantino has blessed us with cult classics like Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill, Inglourious Basterds, and many others. In his entire career as a writer-director, he has blessed the screen with 10 of his movies, but according to him it's 9 because he counts Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 as one movie. But regardless, let me stop beating around the bush. Here's my ranking of every Tarantino movie. At number 10, we have The Hateful Eight. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This is a bad Tarantino film, but a good movie. In no way, shape or form is this a bad movie, but in terms of Tarantino standards, he messed with this one. You could tell that Tarantino was experimenting with a lot of ideas in this movie, and some of them, or more or less a lot of them, did not work out. It suffered from a lot of pacing issues, it was so bloated out, and the third act was all over the place. And for the mere fact that it had a star cast from Samuel Jackson, Kurt Russell, Tim Roth, Walter Giggins, and many others, this movie had a lot of expectations on it, and it did not land. For the mere fact that the screenplay got leaked before production even began, and also before its premiere, the movie actually leaked online, this movie was just destined for failure. And a lot of people were pretty skeptical that Tarantino would follow his western movie Django Unchained with another western movie. They were right to be skeptical because it did not work out. But regardless, I still loved Kurt Russell in this role, and Jennifer Jason Leigh was just something else. At number 9, I have Death Proof. So recently I watched this movie for the first time, and man have I been sleeping on it, but I will say this, Death Proof is by far Quentin Tarantino's horniest movie ever, cause my man goes all out with his quote unquote foot fetish. Like, there are feet in almost every scene, but regardless, as always, Kurt Russell killed this role as Stuntman Mike, a stuntman gone crazy. It was awesome. The female leads did kind of feel bland from time to time, but Rosario Dawson, Vanessa Farlito, Zoe Bell, and the others were cooking in this movie. They were amazing. And that one car crash scene was just brutal. If you've seen the movie, you know. At number 8, I have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yes, I know, hear me out. In no way, shape or form is this a bad movie. It was literally the highlight of 2019, and it won Brad Pitt his first Oscar. It is pretty up there. Apart from this movie being an homage to cinema and spaghetti westerns, nothing happens in this movie. Don't get me wrong, the duo of Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt is just something else, but this movie is vanilla. But the good kind of vanilla. The vanilla with good script writing, actually the best script writing I've ever seen in a Tarantino movie. The dialogue here is amazing. But the third act was so disconnected from the rest of the story that it didn't help, and is it me or is Margot Robbie's character just not needed in this film? I have no clue what they were doing with her. But one thing I love about this movie is Tarantino's trend of changing historical events like in Inglourious Basterds, but more on that later on. So back in 1967 in the Hollywood Hills, Charles Manson and his CULT members would go into Sharon Tate's house and commit one of the most horrific crimes ever. I don't want to go into full details about the horrific things that happened that day, you can just go read about it. But in the movie, Leo and Brad Pitt's character were actually there to stop the crimes from actually happening and gave the bad guys one of the most brutal beatdowns I've ever seen in any Quentin Tarantino movie, and that's saying a lot. There's a scene where Brad's character grabs this poor girl's face and smashes it into almost every piece of furniture in the entire house. It is pretty fucking brutal. And there's another scene where Leo's character actually torches another girl in the swimming pool. It's actually pretty amazing. But one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Leonardo DiCaprio's character Rick Dalton is actually shooting one of his spaghetti westerns, and Leo acted his ass off in that scene. It was amazing. At number 7, we have Jackie Brown. I'm not gonna lie, I've been very reluctant in watching this movie because of its heavy 90s aesthetic, but now I regret it because man, is this movie good. Who would have thought that Samuel Jackson and Robert De Niro would be such a dynamic duo, and Pam Grier was fantastic in this movie as our heroine Jackie Brown. She was her. One thing I really love about Tarantino is that he can write a good female lead without it feeling forced like most of the female leads we have in modern Hollywood. And Jackie Brown's street smarts and wits were just icing on the cake. And although he was only in the movie for like 5 5 minutes. Chris Tucker was hilarious in this movie, and this was actually the role that kickstarted his career. Well deserved. And back to Samuel Jackson. I think this is by far one of his best performances ever. My man legit played a womanizer jackass, and that portrayal of his was peak. This movie and all the actors involved was just fantastic. Tarantino cooked here. At number 6, I have Kill Bill Volume 1. Yes, I know Tarantino specifically said that Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2 were just one movie split into two, and yes, I agree with him. Let's just say I love one half a bit better than the other one. What can I say? Uma Thurman was the female badass of the 2000s, and her portrayal of the bride was one of the best female lead characters I have ever seen in a while. Her performance was god tier. Lucy Liu and Vivica A. Fox as these badass assassins were just... At number 5, I have Kill Bill Volume 2. Now here's why this part is actually my favorite. In the second part, this is where they actually flesh out the story more, and the revenge arc is just crazy. The world building is just something else. We got introduced to David Carradine and Michael Madsen's characters, Bill and Bud, and they were phenomenal in these roles. We even got a cameo from Samuel Jackson. The world gets more fleshed out in this half, and Michael Madsen's character Bud was so phenomenal. He was simple but yet effective. I really loved Bud. The RV fight scene with Daryl Hannah was one of the best fight scenes in the entirety of Kill Bill, and we got introduced to the 5-finger exploding heart technique, like bruh. At number 4, it is Inglourious Basterds. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Christopher Waltz as Hans Slender is by far one of the most sinister villains I've ever seen. This man is menacing. That smile. Oh god, that smile. That man is just something else. And the way he switches it up, like bruh. Like, this man is the definition of an antagonist done right. He contradicts our main characters in almost every twist and turn. This man deserved that Oscar because his portrayal of Hans Slender was just on a whole different spectrum. Then the Bastards. Brad Pitt with a heavy American accent and a mustache is my new favorite thing because this man was phenomenal here. And this movie has one of, if not the best character introductions I've ever seen in any movie, because when this man popped out of the shadows, I legit thought he was gonna bash my head in with a baseball bat. Elrod's portrayal as the Bear Jew is by far one of the best characters in this film. I just love this movie. And this is also one of the Tarantino movies where he actually changes historical events, because the evil World War II German guy with the mustache was actually killed by American soldiers in a burning theater, and it was brutal and phenomenal. It was just crazy. But regardless, this is by far one of Tarantino's best films out there. It deserved all the Oscar buzz it got. At number 3, it is Django Unchained. Samuel Jackson, Christopher Waltz, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Jamie Foxx. That's all I have to say because these guys cooked in this movie. They really went all out with their acting, specifically Samuel Jackson and Leo, because they were phenomenal in these roles, and to this day I still think Leo should have won an Oscar for his portrayal. And oh man, did Christopher Waltz do it again, because my man won his second Oscar for his portrayal in this film. My man was buzzing. Like, I think we all know, this man is a fantastic actor. Jamie Foxx having a shootout to a Western Tupac song was just something else. The ending scene where Samuel Jackson's character Steven actually shouts Django's name as the house is about to explode is one of the best movie endings I have ever seen. It is literally one of my favorites. At number 2, I have Pulp Fiction. This movie is what I and many others would consider cinema. This movie is phenomenal. And this movie has one of the best movie opening scenes with Tim Roth's diner scene, and has one of my favorite scenes in any movie. Tarantino goes all out with his non-linear storytelling because the ending is actually the beginning. Wait, no. The beginning is actually the ending. Right? Yeah. I really love the scene with Christopher Walken's character, and for the mere fact that Butch's dad had to shove the watch up his ass so he could give it to his own son. It's just wild. Bruce Willis and Ving Rhames were phenomenal in their roles as Marcellus Wallace and Butch, and their whole cat and mouse chase was just crazy. But I just want to talk about that basement scene. The scene where Marcellus Wallace gets kidnapped and they, you know, if you've watched the movie, you know. I just have one question. Like, Tarantino, why? But apart from all that, my favorite part in the movie was the whole Uma Thurman and John Travolta dance scene, because that was actually a fun watch. And at number 1, you guessed it, it's Reservoir Dogs. This is literally my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie, and it shows from the non-linear storytelling to the characters to the dialogue. This is peak Tarantino. And for the mere fact that this was actually his first movie, it was mind-blowing. Tarantino went all out in this film. The whole first opening scene in the diner was pretty cool, but nothing beats that iconic slow-mo walk scene. It is unmatched. And for the mere fact that most of the whole film actually takes place in one location is actually crazy. We had fantastic performances from Steve Buscemi, Harvey Keitel, Tim Roth, and many others. Like, they all went all out. And the whole torture scene with Michael Madsen's character, Mr. Blonde, and with him dancing to music in the background, it was just something else. I love how Tim Roth portrays being shot in the stomach, and he literally cries throughout the entire movie, but regardless, it was one of the best performances in the movie. And it was actually somewhat pretty funny. This may have not been the first Quentin Tarantino movie I watched, but it was his first movie ever, and for a director to debut with a movie such as this one, Tarantino is one hell of a director. So seemingly Tarantino said in his entire career he wants to make 10 movies, and since Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 are actually one movie, he still has one movie left in the tank, which is actually in the works, called The Critic, and I am down for it. As long as it is a Quentin Tarantino film, what's there more to ask for? Anyway guys, if you made it this far, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to drop a like and actually subscribing to the channel. I am crazy tired. It is 2 AM and I need to go to sleep.